Although it might have been overshadowed by its predecessor, Tomorrow Never Dies actually has quite a bit to offer.
Canada be damned. I'm going to the Klondike.
The Klondike is Canada.
Giorgio, you be doing just fine, brother.
We've heard it before and we'll hear it again.
Bond. James Bond.
It's a name and a franchise that's lasted decades and has gone through several iterations. A few of them are really good, several are pretty bad, and the rest are simply okay. Roger Spotswood's 1997 contribution to the 007 catalog, Tomorrow Never Dies, by most accounts probably falls into the latter category. In fact, it's probably so okay, in hindsight, it's completely fallen under most people's radar when they think of James Bond films.
Have you got anything on the radar that looks very small? Lifeboat, periscope, anything?
No, sir.
But not us. In this installment of the James Bond franchise, Pierce Brosnan returns as Hollywood's most notorious British spy. His mission, to stop the ambitious media baron Elliot Carver, played by Jonathan Pryce, from using his newly developed stealth boat to coerce the British and Chinese governments into a possible Third World War by manipulating stolen GPS technology.
Let the mayhem begin.
In many ways, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Tomorrow Never Dies has become so easily forgotten. It would be fair to say that this edition is a course correction of sorts. Not only is it a continued course correction from the waning franchise pre-Brosnan, but also a course correction from Brosnan's previous Bond film, Goldeneye. In an effort to resurrect and revitalize the James Bond franchise, Goldeneye did away with some of the things that had come to be expected, which had grown stale. Although it didn't completely wipe the slate clean of all of them, it did scale back the gimmicks and trademarks to a notable degree. And as well regarded as Goldeneye is, Tomorrow Never Dies feels like a back-to-basics recalibration for allowing the pendulum to swing as far as it did. For example, this time around we actually get to see the car's toys in action.
So that's what I've been doing wrong all these years.
In addition to Bond's other gadgets.
This looks familiar.
We've made some improvements.
And the classic 007 theme is back. Bond theme, copywritten, no monetization to be had. No monetization, James Bond theme, copywritten, not gonna get a red cent. Not just $1, nor a Bitcoin, not even a coupon, no money nowhere. Nada.
Think we understand each other?
However, there is a compromise of sorts with sexual harassment in the workplace still being alive and well in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Use your relationship with Mrs. Carver if necessary.
I doubt if she'll remember me.
Remind her. Then pump her for information.
You'll just have to decide how much pumping is needed, James.
If only that were true of you and I, Moneypenny.
And yet, for some reason, James Bond uncharacteristically turns down a role in the sheets when it's presented to him.
He's on to you.
Well, we know where you stand. You made your bed.
I'm standing in your doorway.
Then turn around and go home.
What? This must be pre-Viagra.
You can tell him you didn't get anything out of me.
Bingo.
So that's what I've been doing wrong all these years.
But despite Bond's decreased libido, I actually appreciate it when it comes to the film's female lead, Michelle Yeoh, who works in tandem with Bond as capable Chinese spy Wei Lin.
How many back there?
I can't see! Hold on!
What are you twist for?
Don't get any ideas.
I'd never dream of it.
Unlike many of the Bond girls before her, Wei Lin feels like the type of Bond girl the modern era of 007 should have. She's not simply eye candy for the male audience while Bond does all of the important stuff. No, Lynn holds her own and kicks ass just as much as Bond does, and she does so by utilizing her own talents, without the film pandering to any ideological notions.
Go for the barrels!
What?
Very good. So that's what I've been doing wrong all these years.
None of this is to say Tomorrow Never Dies isn't without its faults. Its romance feels pretty ham-fisted by the end, despite its occasional glances between its leads. Its sound effects feel out of place at times, whether they be broken bones, broken controls, or broken dishes?
You seem very concerned about Mr. Carver's business. He wants to know why.
And then there's this asshole who's brought on along with his encoder equipment to advise about the missing GPS encoder, yet is somehow astounded when Bond presents him with said encoder.
Dr. Greenwald! He's the Air Force EBS expert!
Sorry about all this security, but the GPS encoder is one of the most closely guarded secrets in the U.S. military.
Show him what you got!
Jesus, it's the missing encoder!
Yeah, no shit. And I'm sure many people aren't exactly thrilled by a villain who's more of a mastermind than a physical force to be reckoned with, especially one who mocks those who can take out the trash.
Pathetic.
On the whole, these things are rather minor, and none of these are reason enough not to check out Tomorrow Never Dies for yourself. Despite being nearly 30 years old, Tomorrow Never Dies actually holds up quite nicely, and with its themes of truth in the news, it's actually a fascinating thing to look at in the midst of today's fractured media landscape. And finally, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't mention its customized Bond theme of the same name by Sheryl Crow, which I feel is one of the best of the franchise, yet like the film, has been forgotten all the same. Who can say for sure why Tomorrow Never Dies is seen or not seen the way I see it? It's anyone's guess, I suppose. I simply want to share my editorial on this overlooked installment, and perhaps our views align. But even if they don't and you feel differently about Tomorrow Never Dies, I hope you've enjoyed this video essay and my bond with Bond.